On live.
You got to be on our game now. All right. You're already live.
Here we go.
Hey now.
Hey now. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday, April 1st. April Fool's Day.
April Fools.
And today is another exciting episode of the Prove It Live podcast. Today we actually have a guest. But today's topic is the parental effect on the adolescent athlete. And we've got a lot of different angles to attack this. Should be very informative. So I'm Kevin McGovern, and I have my esteemed co-host, Mike Ferrier. Will take it away and hit it, Mike.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Prove It Live podcast. That is Kevin McGovern from Perfect Motion Sports Therapy. I am Mike Ferrier from the Farm Baseball Performance Institute, and we are joined by Ryan Gagne, a.k.a. Gagne Frutis, and Gagne West. And he's
I thought he changed his name again. But okay.
I almost messed up. You know
what is that? What's that thing called?
The Gagne matter? Gagne meter?
No, the thing. No, the thing and the little.
The
Connecticut put. What's it called?
I have no idea.
The little thing.
The
thing that goes over the E there. What's it called? Help me out here. I'm not an English. I'm a scientist for crying out loud.
Tilde.
Yeah, so if you move that, like whatever letter, it just changes name every week, right? We can just put over the N one day. Like, what if we put over the N?
Actually,
what would it be then?
I think it's the of the N. That's the tilde, right?
No, the tildes. I thought the little.
I think you're right. It is. That's the squirrely thing.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Accent. We'll call it an accent. Put it.
Either way, people are probably cringing at that, but we don't know. We don't know what it is.
The thing where you put the emphasis on the word.
That.
Right?
So if we move that over the N next week, it's going to be a whole different persona.
That's right. He will.
Right. Okay.
All right. Thanks for letting me lose my train of thought. Yeah.
Hey, it's April Fool's. Anything goes.
It is April Fool's. So
Sid Finch. Who remembers that April Fool's prank?
Sid Finch.
Oh,
I don't know that one. I learned a good one though, like one that you could do to somebody. Someone was talking about their daughter. You know, she's like 8 and figure this out. She put like a piece of duct tape on his mouse, on his computer, and so he couldn't. Couldn't put his couldn't use his mouse. He couldn't figure it out. It took him like a half hour.
All right, so real quick, so April 1st is God knows what anniversary. I'm 50, so it may be the 40th anniversary this year of Sid Finch, or maybe 42. So Sid Finch was a prank that Sports Illustrated did. I think George Plimpton wrote it. I think he's a Cambridge guy, right? And if you had circled the first letter of in the first paragraph, it said Happy April Fool's Day. But basically, Sid Finch was this mythical pitcher for the New York Mets. They had pictures of him on the beach in no shoes, throwing 105 miles an hour and all this kind of stuff. And, as a little kid, I believed it. I remember writing Sports Illustrated, like criticizing them, like handwriting this. I'm so mad. I can't believe you would do this. And they actually sent
on the wall over your eyes.
Yeah, this nice letter. Yeah, well, when you're like 8 or 10, I'd because I hated the Mets worse than the Red Sox.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Sid Finch. That's a good April Fool's prank.
It is a good April Fool's prank.
I feel like 1st, 1985.
85. All right, there we go.
Yeah. I feel like April Fool's isn't what it used to be, right? I mean, not as many people participate. It used to be a big. Maybe it was just because we were kids. Actually, now the more I think about it, that it was more of a big deal. But I mean, it's you got to be a real dumbass to get caught with an April Fool's prank, right? I mean, it's April 1st. I mean, that's
right.
The day.
I mean, I remember in my school we had a couple set of twins. They would usually, one really set of identical twins that would switch classrooms and that. But other than that, I mean, that's a big good one in a while that I've heard of.
Yeah, everyone sort of just went along with that.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, not only is it April Fool's Day, it's also
opening day in Major League Baseball.
Except here in Boston, we've been fooled because it's not.
Well, yeah, there were 15 games on the docket today, but 2 have been, as of right now, 2 have been postponed. The Orioles and Red Sox here in Boston, as was rained out, and the Mets and Nationals game that was scheduled for tonight has been apparently postponed due to a COVID-related issue.
So now the Red Sox would usually like to pull a prank on you by allowing all of you to come into the stadium
But with 12 people, it doesn't really matter.
So, right. You could buy concessions for an hour and a half before they go, oops, sorry.
Oops. Yeah, I've been to a playoff game when they did that. Yep.
Yeah, but not this year. And you're right. It's probably because it didn't matter anyway. It was only 11 people coming in anyway.
Right.
So, but it is still opening day around Major League Baseball, which is like, I know I have so many actual memories of opening day, right? It was like almost like an unofficial holiday, at least in Boston. It used to be like okay to skip school. I remember that, like in high school, it was like teachers would know, when I see you guys here on Tuesday, whenever open day was, wink, wink. And it got to the point where teachers would just stop giving homework the day before and that sort of thing. So, whether you went to the game or not, everyone sort of went down to the Fenway area to hang out. Just an awesome day, right? I mean, it's sort of like the unofficial beginning of spring, right? The school year seems to be getting a little bit nearer to the end, all of those things. But yeah, no, just awesome. I mean, people get out of work, people skip work. I mean, that continued way until our adulthood, when people just like not go to work and go take part in an opening day. But of course, here in Boston, it's like you can just go there and get two you have to have them like 2 years in advance.
I mean, it's kind of April Fools.
You used to be able to do that. I mean, when I was growing up,
when Fred Lynn was a center fielder.
Well, I mean, even early to mid '90s, when the Red Sox were terrible, you could go. You just walk down there, get a bleacher seat, for $12.
Yeah, mid-90s, not on opening day.
No. Yeah. But it's kind of like April Fools. You just said that, it's near the end of the school year. It's really kind of maybe the beginning, actually, of the school year, right? Because people are actually going back to school, or at least in person.
Yes,
right?
How times have changed. You're right.
Yes, right.
Perfect example of like the backwards land that we live in today.
It's the what was that Seinfeld one, where Bizarro world, where everything was backwards, right? Like the Bizarro. Yeah, that's what we're in now. Yep.
Bizarro, and that stems from Bizarro Superman. It used to freak me out when I was a kid. I used to get freaked out by that guy. Do you remember Bizarro Superman? Like that's where the whole Bizarro thing started.
Like the original, like George Reeves Superman, like the show, like that.
It was in the cartoons, like the original cartoons, and he had the backwards S. And he looked like a zombie, kind of. Yeah, he was really freaky looking. Didn't like him. And when I was a kid.
Should we like do a prediction of who's gonna?
I think
make
that's
the
a good
playoffs,
idea.
Or gonna be at least in the World Series? Is there gonna be a World Series? Is there gonna? What's happening?
I think there's gonna be a World Series, absolutely. And
if there was one last year, there certainly better be one this year with fans, all of them.
Let's see what you guys discuss, because I have our guest Jeff Levin messaging me saying, "How do I get in?" Now, Jeff's a old timer, but I know he's well averse to Zooms.
Yeah, I've got to let him in here. Tell him to. We're gonna put him in here.
Oh, you see him? There you go. You're in.
Yeah, I gotta do that. I gotta ask him to, and then I'm gonna
say
tell him to hang tight. It's coming right now.
Congrats.
He is in. I can see him in here.
He is in.
Yeah, he is.
I see. Yes. After that, now he's on his own to turn on his own mic.
Well, hey,
I'll start. I mean, I think that it's gonna be the Yankees and the Dodgers.
The Dodgers.
I mean, dude, they're so stacked. Well, I mean,
the last 17 World Series.
I mean, dude, they spent $862 billion. They have a whole stimulus team. Like, I mean, how do you? Yeah, well, I mean. Listen, if Dave Roberts isn't their manager, they probably have like 6 rings right now.
Right, that's one way to look at it. Or you could also argue.
I mean, didn't he sit like the top 4 home run hitters just because the lefty matchup a few years ago?
Yeah. Yes, that was against the Red Sox when they won their 4th World Series.
Right.
In what was it, 6 years?
I mean, do you see anyone else coming out of the National League other than the Dodgers?
Well, who saw the Nationals coming, in 2019? I mean, so I think it's too hard. But I mean, the Pods, I think, is a good pick, actually.
I mean, they loaded up their pitching staff. I mean, their offense.
They did. And they went back to the brown, and they went officially back to the brown and yellow, right?
Which is great. So silly.
Great.
I do too. Yeah,
love it.
It's like feces and vomit. Those like 2 colors of like this.
You are so anti-golf. You're anti-color. You're just anti. You're an anti. You're a hater.
The reason
maybe our guest could help you out.
The reason why that color looks good is because nobody else is doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's something you don't see all that
Yeah,
often.
no one else is wearing pink and green either, Ryan. Does that look good?
I mean, it might. We don't know.
It looks good because nobody else is doing it. Yeah, for good reason no one else is doing it. It looks dumb.
Potentially, sure.
All right, well, who are you picking?
Anyway.
You got me down. Who's coming out of the American League?
I kind of want to go. Hold on a second. Stay with the National League for a second. I kind of want to go with the Mets just because they just paid,
entire team
$250
sucks.
million on Rendon.
The Mets?
I'm joking.
Oh,
but this is why they're terrible. They just because this is another piece of news. Everyone know that Rendon just signed for $341 million.
Lindor.
What'd I say?
Rendon. Same thing. Probably the same.
Sorry.
You're probably $20 million off. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They do this all the time. They spend this like insane amount of money on like one or two big names. They have no money to pay the rest of the team, no money to pay the bullpen.
And they're still paying Bobby Bonilla.
They still do it. My Lord. Could you imagine? Can you imagine having to write that check?
I think Steve Cohen is, he's all in on spending whatever it takes to get them back to winning baseball games. So who knows?
Yeah.
That said, I don't think this is a year. I mean, the AL or the NL East is probably the best division in baseball right now. When you look at
AL East,
no, the NL East with the Braves, the Nationals, the Mets. I mean, even the Marlins are starting to turn the corner a little bit. I mean, they're probably the best division in baseball right now, top to bottom.
I can't argue with that. I mean, who's going to stay. It always comes down to who's going to stay healthy. At the end of the day, for me, for anybody. 100%. I mean,
yeah,
we're not playing a quarter of a year this year, so we think.
Yeah. We'll see.
No, so what do you got, Frary? What do you got? What do you got, Jimmy?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. I kind of like the Padres pick. I really do. I kind of like the Pods coming out of the National League.
All right. Who's coming out of the American League?
You know what? I'm gonna.
Go ahead, say it.
I'm thinking the Indians.
Oh.
Nah.
First of all, there's no such team as the Indians. So pick again.
You're right. I'm sorry.
So it's just the Cleveland baseball team. Okay,
so you know what? For that alone, I'm going with the Cleveland baseball team. Because I want there just to be a question mark on the World Series trophy. For
the World Series. Okay. All right. Ryan, what do you got?
As much as I don't like this pick, I think the Astros are coming out of the American League.
Okay.
And for the National League, I think the NL Championship will be the Braves and the Padres. Yeah, I think the Dodgers will be out earlier than people expect. But I say Braves, Padres going 6 or 7 games, and probably the Padres come out of there. So Padres, Astros, World Series.
Wow.
Okay.
Padres, Astros World Series with a television rating of .00078.
And I think Houston wins it all.
Oh. Hold on.
If I'm
yeah, they're gonna win it. Yeah, I got it.
I don't know. Okay. If I'm being serious, I mean, I think you got to look at. I like Oakland too. I really do like Oakland, and Houston's
there's
good. There's
a lot of good teams everywhere.
There really is.
Every division.
The White Sox.
The White Sox are solid. Are young and really good. The Tampa Bay Rays are still a very good baseball team.
Defending AL champs.
The Minnesota Twins are going to surprise. I don't even know if that's a surprise. I think the Twins will probably win the Central with the White Sox coming in as a wild card. Honestly, I think every division has 2 really, really good teams that could come out, at any given time.
All right. We could go on forever with this, right? And not even come anywhere near what actually happens in about 6 months from now. So anyway.
True.
So Kevin, if you don't mind,
World Series market right now.
What do you need me to
do? Allow me to introduce our guest today.
Oh,
so
yeah, go right ahead. You don't have to ask my permission. Just go right ahead.
A little bit more. I was telling you that I was going to do it. I wasn't asking your permission, you narcissist.
Well, you said Kevin like I had to stop doing what
Thankfully,
I was doing.
We have Jeff here who can validate my narcissist claim on you. All right. So
I can see that in 15 minutes.
That's the pot calling the kettle black right there. Let's
I mean, oh my God.
So Jeff Levin, I have been working with Jeff I've known him. I've been friends with him now for what, close to 10 years now, Jeff, right? Isn't it like 7 years, 8 years we figured out recently?
It was 7
So
or 8.
it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I met Jeff at Tufts University during a showcase that no longer exists. It was called the Top 96, and it was put on by, I believe, DeMarini at the time. And we had, I had some players there, went to support them, and saw Jeff talking to one of the parents, one of the dads of one of my players, and he introduced us. We started talking, and we sort of hit it off. One of the first things that I asked him, because it was always bothering me, and this is true. This is a very true, and I think it's true today. And I posed it this way to Jeff. I said, Jeff, if I have 5,000 swing and misses in my facility in a given week, right? And I'm making up the number. If I did, 4,999 of them will be early. In other words, they're swinging, missing early on the ball. Why is that? Like, that's not a coincidence. The numbers are way too high. And he said, that's anxiety. That's easy. That's anxiety. Kids are anxious. And it made all the sense in the world to me. And since then, over the years, we brought Jeff in. He worked with our, some of our teams. We had, the first group he worked with, which was a team of players who actually, a lot of the kids now coach in our program, but they were part of the Newton North High School team here in Newton, Mass, that won the inaugural Super 8 championship. So the Mass 8 championship on steroids, where they kind of brought all divisions in, and they won it that very next year, after training with us, working with Jeff. And so since then, he's continued to work with our teams. Kids love the work that we do with them, and it's not really, and I'll let Jeff talk more about it, but it's not really psychology work as it is about, like, working on confidence and such. So Jeff Levin, if you'd like to talk a little bit about yourself. I mean, if there's anything that I didn't cover especially, right? I mean, what do you think?
No, that's all right. I mean, I'm a 64-year-old guy. I've been working with kids Monday through Friday for 40 years. I started as a teacher, and then in the mid-'80s, I got a clinical social work degree. And then about 15 years ago, or more maybe, I started working with athletes and teams in addition to just helping kids and families. And I was going to say, I was going to try to summarize 25 years of change in the culture in 15 minutes. I don't know how much time we actually have, but I'm prepared with a lot of fancy PDFs and psychological slides and that, but good. I don't know where we want to go with that, Mike.
Well, I think that's sort of a good segue. So obviously what we want to talk today about is the parents' effect really on the modern day adolescent athlete, right? And so we know parenting's changed from when I was playing as a kid. I'm 46. Kevin's like almost 60. Cagney's 35.
I'm almost 60. I'm in my 90s.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's changed a lot. And you and I, most of our conversations, candidly, have not most. I can't say that. A lot of our conversations have been, the parents' influence on the kid. And look, I'll say this right up in front. We've been lucky. We've got a lot of great parents in our program. Number one. Number two, all of them, with a very, 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 very few exceptions, have the best intentions. Everybody wants to help their kid. They want to help them succeed. They want to help them, they want to help grow and nurture whatever passion is they have. But I think that what Jeff and I both agree on is that there's a real lack of information and education on how to do that. Right. I think a lot of them, enough of them to talk about anyway, maybe going about it the wrong way and don't really quite know it. Jeff, is that fair to say?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I don't know how far in depth you want me to go, but
we go deep, baby.
What's that?
Let's go deep.
The culture. I mean, we're all of us. You guys, I presume, are all in your 40s or something. I'm the next generation up at 64, but we were all raised in an entirely different way than the children are raised today, by and large. I was going to start. Can I share my screen?
You can. Yep.
So let me try that. I was going to
Jeff, are you smoking again? What is that? There's like smoke coming up from it. Is that your computer on fire?
That's a cup of tea, buddy.
Jeff has an old computer. All right. Okay.
It's interesting you would assume that I'm smoking again. So let me start with the bad news. This is 2019 statistics from the CDC Youth Risk Behavioral Survey.
Yep.
Centers for Disease Control up top. Here's the question. Have you felt sad or hopeless almost every day for 2 or more weeks in a row and you stopped doing your usual activities, right? High school youth risk behavior 2019, national numbers. 36, call it 37% of high school kids say, yeah, I'm sad and hopeless for 2 weeks. Okay?
Wow.
47% of the girls, 27% of the boys. And then they break it down into your states. So Massachusetts is below the national average, right? It looks like it's below in all those things. My memory is good enough.
Not by a lot.
Not by a lot, no.
So the suicide rate, these are pre-COVID numbers. The suicide rate for kids has gone up 56.7%. That's pre-COVID. And we know with COVID, remind me later, oh my God. We know with COVID that they say 1 in 4 kids from 18 to 24 is thinking about suicide more often because of COVID, right?
Bananas.
Let me continue with this. So the numbers aren't good. The anxiety that Mike and I talked about at Tufts has only, in my opinion, worsened. And this is the sort of the dirty little secret that parents really need to understand. My wife and I didn't have kids. I don't blame any parents. I think about how this happened all the time, but basically, in essence, 2 things. We have, because of phones, right? We have what I would call childhood interrupters. If you watch kids and you have a phone in your pocket, I have a flip phone in my pocket to which I'm definitely addicted. But kids are looking at their phone. I asked 45 kids at your facility, Mike, one day, asked all the 13-year-olds. I think Ryan might have been there, but
yep.
How many? They all looked at their phone log and the numbers. I'm on my phone between 4 and 9 hours a day, and that's just the phone. So childhood interrupters. This is true. Is the one thing we need to understand, and the other thing that I want to emphasize is why I call it outcome fever. Right?
Right.
If you're a parent and you're listening to this, remember the way that you were raised. Your parents didn't always ask you, how'd you do on that test? Did you play this afternoon? How come you didn't start at shortstop? Well, I think you're better than that kid.
Right.
The whole fabric of the culture has changed. We were not raised that way. The baby boomers and the Gen X parents were not raised this way. So let me continue. From a macro perspective, right? It's just psychologically. I'm trying to hit the right button here to find what I'm looking for. And everybody's heard of this one. This is Maslow's triangle, right? And I'm sorry it's blurred. I'll lower it a little. Can you guys read that?
Yep. Self-actualization. Yep.
Right. Your basic needs of food, water, warmth, and rest. Your safety needs, security, and physical safety needs. And this third, the orange layer here, belongingness and love, intimate relationships, friends, prestige, feeling of accomplishment, right? Think about the pressure on kids to achieve, right? They put all their eggs in a particular baseball basket or a hockey basket, or they play the cello, or they're trying to be great at basketball.
Yep.
And when they fail, they lose their confidence. Whereas the way we were raised, right? I have a buddy who coaches hockey, and he tells his kids when they go out, he says, remember the 4 things. He goes, have fun, do your best, be good to other people, and have fun. So Billy's kids are in their teenagers. They're like, Dad, yeah, we got it. The 4 things, right? Okay, we got it. Today, sadly, because of a number of reasons, I think we're trying to prepare the road for the child, not the child for the road. Whereas, you know, Mike, when you went out on Saturday morning, if you went down to the park in Brighton, or any of us, we skinned our knee, we got in an argument with our buddy, we had to figure out, we only had 9 kids to play baseball. We figured it out. You know, the phrase, figure it out. Yep. The phrase figure it out is going out of the parental lexicon.
So So Jeff, if I can stop for a sec, because so I 100% agreed. First of all, so what is it we think that change? And because I'll tell you what I see, and Kevin, I don't want to speak for you. We've talked about it, but definitely chime in here. I think we see a lot of, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. I think saying preparing the road for the child, and almost too much interference. Too much involvement. We've got a lot of. Let me back up and say this: I don't like to deal with the parents once the kids are like 15, 16. Not that I don't want to deal with them, but I want to teach the kids that, hey, you should be communicating with me. You're big enough. You tell me if you have an issue with your playing time, come to me. If talk to me. If you have, if you can't make a practice, you communicate that. I want an email from mom or dad. And a lot of them in the beginning have no clue on how to do that. They just have no clue. And I remember, being 13 years old and talking with my coaches about stuff. My dad couldn't have cared less. Kevin, my dad could care less. He's like, what do you want me to do? Talk to your coach?
No, never happened.
Not happening.
Never happened.
Right. But this is the way all of us were raised. So an interesting question is, why is so many parents interfering with their daughter or son's ability to succeed instead of the credo of, hey, you fall down, get up. You can do this. I was just today, I'm down on Cape Cod walking on the tidal flats out here and having a step through mud. And I got all wet and I thought, oh my God. And I saw a family, it happened to be from Great Britain. And I thought, they'll turn around. They're not going to make their 3 little kids traipse through mud. But I heard the father go, come on, you can do that. If you get wet, don't worry.
Good.
When we get back to the house, and the kid was crying. And then I saw the kid 6 minutes later and she was playing and looking at shells. Mommy, look at this. And it was a good metaphor for me because I've been watching this go for 20 years. I've been watching. Yeah.
Sorry. No. So how much of this do you think is about status? And I asked that because, there's the whole.
That's a great question.
Right. There's the whole keeping up with the Joneses, and it appears to me that sometimes they can be a little bit too consumed on the status, like, hey, look, my kid's on the A team or the B team. Yeah. We don't even
the
call
kid.
them
The kid becomes the parent's trophy. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
No, it happens a lot. I don't think parents sit up in their offices and in their bedrooms going, hey, the wife doesn't go, hey, Fred, we can brag about Timmy because he's going to Bowdoin. I don't think it's conscious.
Right.
I just think people have gotten swept up in what I call outcome fever. No offense to the Kardashians, but if these are the people that are role models, you guys were talking about the money that folks make. People are very, very focused on appearances and outcome. And Tom Brady completed this many, and he makes this, and that guy makes this.
Yep.
And kids are talking about NESCAT. Kids in your facilities. Where do you want to go to college? I want to go to a NESCAT school.
I know. I didn't even know what that meant when I was like,
what is that?
That's Bowdoin Bates, the New England small
college.
Yeah,
Amherst small college. Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's a history in this country and around the world in the human ego. We get attached to certain things. Oh, he went to Harvard. I had a friend of mine is a principal of a high school, and they were having the principal's coffee. And before it started, Mrs. Jones said to Mrs. O'Brien, hey, where's Kevin going to college? And she said, oh, he's going to BC. Oh, that's great. And she said, where's your kid going? And the woman said, oh, he's going to UNH. And the first lady goes, oh, I'm sorry. I swear to God.
Oh my God. Imagine if you said going to the Army, right? Yeah.
But and again, I'm not on here to lambaste parents.
No, that's not the point.
Right. No, I don't think they plan to do it. But let me just go back to this slide just to bring the psychological stuff into it.
Yep.
If you look at, this is Erik Erikson, who was a Danish analyst. He came to this country and he lived in Great Barrington. These are the 8 ages of men, what he calls, these are the stepping stones that you want to surmount as you're little. You want to develop trust in the world, right?
Yep. Jeff, I think you got to share your screen.
It's not up there yet.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You want to develop
there you go.
Trust in the world. So hopefully your mom and dad are trustworthy and predictable, right? When you start playing peekaboo, you want to develop autonomy, not doubt. So when you toddle away from your dad, Mike Frary, when you're Ella, You don't want Mike to go, Ella, come here, come on, no, you're gonna fall, honey, come here.
Right.
No. When you're 5 and 6, you want to go to first grade and have initiative. You don't want to feel guilty about your accomplishments. You following me?
Yep.
And when you're in those years, you want to build, you want to make friends. You don't want to feel inferior. And then when you're a teenager, you want to hear the voice of who you really are. You don't want to have role confusion, right? And then when you're a young adult, you want to develop true intimacy with people, sexual and otherwise. And then these two are the grown-up stages. If you go down to any bar, you look at somebody who's self-absorbed, and you look at somebody who's in a state of despair, I mean, drinking in a bar or self-absorbed. Why? Because they didn't master the first 6 stages, right? And I know this is a lot, but I see the kids I see these kids who they don't trust themselves. They don't trust their friends. They're full of doubt, guilt, inferiority, and confusion, like a lot of it. You know what I'm saying, Mike? And
Yeah.
So
are the parents maybe trying to make up for them? Maybe are they trying to protect them against this? Are they trying to make up for them not being able to, if they're on the wrong side of this column, in other words, right? I mean,
I think parents are trying to put oxygen in their kids' lungs, to put self-esteem in their body. Everybody's getting a trophy. My buddy's got a 6-year-old granddaughter. She plays soccer. He went to the game. The girl didn't go near the ball. She was afraid of the ball, but she was picking daffodils or something.
Yep.
And then at the end, they
Walked
gave
away with the trophy.
a big shiny trophy. And John's granddaughter put it up in her room. And Grandpa, I'm awesome at soccer. And my buddy's like, well, you're really not.
Well, so and Kevin's got a story that I want him to share in a second. And so that's sort of nitty gritty. And I'll say this, and I'll say it again, and I can only speak the experience of the parents that we have in our program, that we've had in our years with the program. I think we're lucky because I know what goes on in general. And, but even we have had some that, are very, very well-intentioned that, again, they maybe involve a little too much, or they're concerned about the wrong thing, we of course want to develop kids. We know that it doesn't matter how good a kid is when they're 12 years old. It literally does not matter. What matters is their work ethic from there to when they're 16, 17. And I can't tell you how many kids who were, they were the 10 hitter on their little league team, their town team, and became better players than, the big stars that they thought they had in their towns. Right. So we've talked about that ad nauseum, but we still have the ones that are concerned about, what's he going to do to get on the top team on the, at 12, 11, 10. And of course, the way that we do it, Jeff, as you know, is it's just time in program for us. So if you're in the program for 2 years, you start out in a smaller division, then you go to the middle division. And by the 3rd year, you go to the top division, and it's part of your development. But, a lot of, parents maybe don't understand that. And so they have to be on the top tier. They think their kid has to be on the top tier, and for the life of me, I can't, because look, I now have my own kids who are playing sports. I'm not that age. I got 2 kids who play sports. I don't care what level they're playing, and I just want them to continue to grow the love of the sport and to get better at it. So, and it gets to this degree. This is not one of our parents. I want to be clear, but Kevin, if you could tell your story about, as an example, Jeff, listen to this, and this is what I'm sort of asking about.
Yeah, so I had a dad call me for a 9-year-old, and once I hear someone that young, I start to get a little nervous. Like, have the kid go outside and play. But to make a long story short, at this local town, it was a town thing. They didn't have positions yet for the 9-year-old. They weren't doing positions, but yet the father was concerned that his son finished last in the 60-yard dash, which, as far as I know, is a pro scouting test. So we're not going to have positions, but yet we're going to put and measure the child with other children in a professional 60-yard dash, of which the kid finished last. And there were some reasons why he finished last, but maybe if he'd gone outside and played rather than in my office, the world would be a better place. And I see that all the time.
Yeah. No, it's outcome fever is real. People are concerned. Their impression is that the world is scarier. And I think at some level it is. I call it the overwhelming tragedy list. And since it's overwhelming, nobody wants to talk about it. But you don't go about to a barbecue pre-COVID and go, hey, you worried about global warming, the opiate epidemic, school shootings, and phone addiction? Nobody's talking about these huge dynamics, right? But I think it has seeped into the hearts and minds of parents, and I think they're scared. And I think they're feathering their own kid's nest. I don't think that's rocket science. I don't know what you guys think.
I think so too. And again, that's why I think it all comes from a very well-intentioned place. It just seems to me that there's a little bit, and again, this isn't everybody, of course. But I think there is a real element of, I think there's even some maybe vicariousness, for lack of a better word, right? I mean, that the only way I can describe the status obsession sometimes, and the reason why I bring it up is because, and I want to ask, this is ultimately what I want to ask you, and I don't want to answer it necessarily now, and I don't even know if there's a short answer for it, but is, what's the piece of advice we can give to parents? Like, what's the best way to support your kid? And before you start to answer that, and Kevin, I haven't even said this to you too, but Kevin, the kid that is in our program now, very successful, on his way to having a very successful baseball career, right? He's always committed to a top-ranked school, baseball-wise. His parents are almost out of the picture. And it's the ones that seem to be really in the background that those kids seem to excel. And look, I could be wrong. Maybe it's a coincidence, and maybe that's just, I don't know. But that's what I've experienced over the last several years.
It's not a coincidence. It's not let me show you this quote from Carl Jung, which I found a few years ago and is really penetrating and interesting, which is this: nothing affects the life of a child so much as the unlived life of its parent.
Wow. That's crazy. That was a long time ago.
That's a good quote. Yeah.
That's a great quote. Yeah.
Oh, right. So if you're swept up the last 20 years in making money, and you're trying to deal with your middle age and your marriage, and now you have 3 little kids, and you're in this world with this overwhelming tragedy stuff going on, and all the institutions are starting to fail. The church, the synagogue, the family. The average family has 2.3 dinners together out of 7
in the week.
Think about that. Harvard did a study. Things are failing. Things are moving. You don't have any boundaries between work. Think about your fathers. They came home from work at 5 and relaxed. Relax. The word relax is going out of the lexicon, and people are frazzled, and they're feathering their children's nest. It's a fear-based way of parenting, frankly. And it isn't that the father was a nerd in high school and wished he would have made the baseball team necessarily. It's much deeper than that he looks at his kid. He doesn't have the time to connect with him and develop eye contact and shut the gizmos off in the house and hang out with his kids and say, no, I'm sorry, Jimmy. You're only 12. You're not getting an iPhone. I mean, the devices cannot be overestimated. They're the Trojan horse of all this stuff. How can you give a 12-year-old a phone and act like she can manage it? And let me just say, I talk to kids all the time. So I ask high school kids, what percentage of you guys in the school are sexting? And they go, oh my God, it's like 80%, 90%. So you're downstairs doing emails for work. Your 15-year-old daughter's upstairs sending naked pictures of herself, and you don't have any idea. And this is, I do sleep at night because I'm so old, but it really boggles my mind. It's really, really, it's just sad. So people wonder, why are kids, 2 kids, I live in New Hampshire, my wife and I, 2 kids in New Hampshire killed themselves in the last month. I get choked up telling you. One of them was the highest softball pitcher in the state, a young lady, right? And the other kid was a 13-year-old, a little boy who lived in Mount Vernon, it's public knowledge, who took his own life. And 3 days later, I was meeting with 2 clients in that town, friends of his, and they're looking at me like, why, Jeff? Why?
Yeah.
So big picture, we have to take back hold of the culture and the parenting idea. My advice to parents, I took some notes here. Turn off the devices and listen to your kids. If you make 20 grand less a year because you didn't answer those emails, so what? Parenting is saying no, is paying attention. Raising a child, it's like raising, you know, a garden. You have to water it. You have to set boundaries. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
You have to focus on parenting. The devices are a problem. 2 more things. Acknowledge what your kids are doing. Don't pay attention to the outcome all the time. It's not about outcome. My friend Billy is correct. Have fun. Be a good kid. Do your best. Do you have fun today? Awesome. You know, hey, Mom, I hit a home run. Really? That's great. You like baseball? Yeah. What else do you like? Not, you're 11, you're going to be Yogi Berra, let's go. Not 15, where you're going to get recruited, oh my God.
Yeah.
Put the phones down, pay. And the last thing I'll say, we call them the 5 I's. And it would be 4 I's and a G. But here we go. So imagination is getting swamped. Independence is getting swamped, right? Intestinal fortitude, AKA guts, is getting swamped. Integrity is getting swamped. If you found out how many kids cheat in school, your false teeth would fall out. Because I ask them. Every kid I know says, yo, I cheat in school. Every kid I know. I'm not even kidding.
That's because of these. It makes it easy to do.
That's part of it, but there's such pressure to succeed.
Right.
You know, if my parents' love and respect and my own sort of success depends on me going on 2 for 4 or 3 for 4, I cannot strike out. I mean, Mike sees it. I can't because my psychological survival depends on me doing well at this activity.
Their identity, even sometimes.
That's the 5th I, right?
Look at that.
Imagination, independence, integrity, intestinal fortitude all lead towards identity. So why are kids bouncing out of college? I can't handle it. They can't handle COVID. I get it. But it's been 20 years of massive changes in the culture. So
that's great, Jeff. That's like super information. That's awesome. Kevin, do you have anything you'd like to ask Jeff before we let him wrap up? I think that was super informative.
Thank you. I'm glad it was good.
Yeah. So Jeff, as a you know, a parent of 2 girls, you know, I mean, you know, 9 and 12-year-old, do you think people are more aware? You know, I'm a child of the 80s. You know, you fell down, rub some dirt on it. You know, you stopped your bike by slamming it down the bottom of the hill into the car. There was no helmets, there's no knee pads, but I don't let my daughters go out without like a full sumo suit before, you know, doing anything, right? Do you think now it has to do
I could have helped you with your brakes on your bike.
Like, do you think what you do is more prevalent now through maybe social media, that, you know, I could step back and look, all right, where did all my parents may have screwed up? And let me see if I could fix all that as my parent and then deliver that to my kid, even though that's probably completely wrong. Or, you know what I'm saying? That kind of, is that mentality going on? All right, that was a bad memory. Let's see if they could not have that, but that memory is actually something, or a life lesson that probably shaped me. But maybe there was, you know, well, let's have them skip through that and do this. You know what I mean?
I see a lot of people will often say to me, you know, my father used to yell, my mother drank too much, but they're trying too hard. They're definitely trying too hard. And that Jung quote, the unlived life, I think there are a lot of parents that are swamped with work. They're not doing what they really love, right? They're not doing what they really love. Just sit in traffic. I was in traffic yesterday in suburban Boston. They're not doing what they love. No offense to our attorney listeners. There's a lot of attorneys for 10, 15 years that have been under terrific amounts of pressure to achieve. So parenting is not a by the book thing, but if there were a couple of precepts in parenting that I would say is prepare your child for the road. Prepare your child for the road. The road of life, you know, is full of curveballs, is full of sadness, it's full of joy. It's the whole catastrophe. And you want to raise kids who are prepared to deal with sorrow, failure, rub dirt in it, and also prepared to deal with success and joy with humility. You know, you can drive around any town, Kevin, and see a yard sign that says, "My son Kevin is a proud graduate of Austin Prep or Newton South."
Yep.
And wow, that's great. Okay. And now I'm starting to see yard signs that say, "My daughter is a medical student at Villanova." That's great. What did you have for dinner last night? We had steak for dinner last night. I don't get it. I mean, some of it's gone beyond the pale.
Yeah, I think part of it too. I mean, not to interrupt, but it's almost like a feeling of, it's this collective overwhelming sense to that you have to sort of best your parents, right? You got to keep the chain of success going, right? And so your parents did better than their parents, and now you have to do better than your parents, and so on and so forth. And what that means, I don't know. I think a lot of people maybe think it's financial, right? And I think that's a way that, and it is, by the way, a huge, significant part of how you support your family. But there's obviously more to it than that. But I think that maybe has something to do with it as well.
There were some studies that the current Gen Z, right? If you look at the generations above them are the millennials. I don't know the exact year boundaries. Above them are you guys, Gen X, right? Above them are baby boomers. And above us, my parents are gone now, but they were greatest generation folks, like your dad, Mike. Greatest generation, I think. He's
my dad.
Yeah.
Your dad's. We have entirely forgotten all the simple precepts of parenting and living. Almost entirely. Figure it out. My dad used to say, "Go play in traffic, will you?"
Yeah, mine did too.
Mine too.
So if you have children inside, what do you think the symbolism of that is? You're in the cocoon. You have. I work with an 11-year-old boy who always has 3 devices open next to him. And if he sits at his laptop, it's 4. So he has a phone, an iPad, some other gizmo, his watch. And then he opens and this kid cannot pay attention. So he says, "Jeff, can you help me with my history lesson?" He doesn't have any attention span. Of course, it's the middle of a virus. Right?
Yeah, right.
So again, the advice to parents is slow it down, shut the things off, listen to your kids, and acknowledge that they're scared. And this is remediable. This can be corrected. But it has to be corrected community by community. Because the keeping up with the Joneses thing is real. If all the parents at the farm, if we all made a pact, look, we're all shutting our phones off between 7 and 9 at night, then 130 boys, after complaining for the first week, they say, "Well, this feels good. I never knew my dad did X, Y, Z. I never knew my grandfather fought in the Korean War." I don't know. It would get the kids off this outcome fever treadmill.
Wow.
Jeff,
thank you very. Hey, so Jeff, how do people get in touch with you if they would like to learn more about what you do?
Well, my website is jefflevincoaching.com. jefflevincoaching.com. I guess no one gives a phone number anymore, right?
No, they're typically on social media, but I know you're not on social media.
Yeah, but I'll list that
as you shouldn't
website.
Be, because
my wife, I have Twitter.
Oh, you do?
Instagram.
Look at you.
All right.
2021 Jeff.
I'm
Welcome to the party, pal.
I'm dying to click off of that thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jeff, thank you. That was informative as all. Wow.
That was phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll have you back again too.
Absolutely.
Talk more, but
thank you. Who awesome. Is Tesla, who remains incognito?
Oh, Jason is our super fan. He's on pretty much every episode, and he's also a parent / coach in the Renegades, so our softball program.
Oh, okay. I don't know if he's there.
He's usually unmuted.
Yeah, he has a face made for radio, so we make sure we keep his video off.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Very hurt.
Absolutely.
All right, Jeff. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome, Kevin. I hope to meet you someday. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Bye.
See you, Jeff.
Bye.
Well, that was very good.
That was awesome. Jeff knows his stuff.
He does. That's good.
Really
we could definitely do another.
We could do
another 10 shows with that. I mean, I'm sure he probably has I can just tell, like he probably has like thousands of hours of stuff that's all
Yes.
all poignant to what we're talking about.
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely. And that's it's why you can see, I'm sure everyone can see why I see the value in him and having him come and talk to the
Without
kids.
question. He's got a very good mannerism. He communicates very well, and it's good.
Yeah,
But enough about Jeff, because I believe it's time for.
Why would you do that?
Nice. What do we have, fellas? There was a bunch. There was a bunch,
but we picked one, and we knew, Jeff was going to bring a pretty serious tone to the show, right? So, but necessary, and so now we're gonna finish it with a little lightheartedness. So, Ryan, without further ado, if you could pull up our video. So now let me talk about the video. Right? Sorry. So leave it there, Ryan, for a sec, if you don't mind.
It is outdoors.
It is outdoors. Masks. It is without masks.
I don't know what this is
old.
It's old. Look, I don't know.
The batting cage is old as dirt. So the bucket. Let's talk about the bucket. I mean, that's not a baseball bucket. That's
no. That's
that looks.
I think that's a lobster bucket. Believe it or not, I thought close to it. I think so. Yeah, something like that.
Looks like you can only fit a couple lobsters.
But there's a lot of beach muscle shrugging going on. I can see it. Where I think the arms may be larger than the legs, if we actually look at that, right? I mean, he looks like he looks like after watching all my WrestleManias, I started. He might be an '80s wrestler.
He looks like one of those characters on the SNL skit, "How Much You Bench." Remember that?
Yes. He's just an old jobber from the '80s, right, Kev?
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. We're not making fun of you personally.
Let's not. Yeah, I was going to say, and let's not. I don't think we should be making fun of or picking on his swing. I think it'll be pretty apparent that his swing is not good. Like, I think everybody can agree with that. But the purpose of this segment is to talk about the actual drill itself and how bad it is.
But okay. And I think thank you, Ryan, for being the nice police. But it's actually relevant because they have no right doing this drill. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we could be working on here, obviously. Okay, so now
for you people not watching, there are two gentlemen in the picture. One guy is hitting, but he's in front of someone who's behind him, will be probably an umpire distance away from the player, and he has a ball, and I think he's going to throw the ball from behind.
That's right. And so if in the front is called front toss, this would be called, back toss, right? So he's tossing from behind the hitter. And
what does this work on?
For all of the times that you see fastballs coming from behind you.
Yep. That's right. Now, I know this drill is supposed to be like if people are constantly late on the ball. This is what I've heard because I don't believe it. Okay, but I'll just tell you what I've.
Well, then they're early swinging it when the catcher throws it back, right? Because that's what he's swinging at, right? That right? Because Okay, sorry.
Right. So they're constantly late, and so I imagine that the idea is to get them feeling like they're hitting the ball out in front. But I think as soon as Ryan hits play, you'll see what often happens with this drill. Ryan.
Okay, he has thrown the ball and he.
Swing and a miss. Another ball and a.
But he's actually looking as if he was.
That's correct.
He's looking at what the pitcher would throw at him.
That's right. That's right.
I can't even watch this. What is this doing?
He makes contact with the first one, misses the second one by 2 feet. Makes contact
and then the third one.
And there's 3 people involved in this, at least, because someone's filming this, we think, unless it's on a tripod. I mean, what is...
Yeah.
And no one's tackling anybody here. No one tackles someone here and says, what are you two doing?
No, it doesn't happen. And so, look, in all fairness, all right, so we picked this one because, it is a little on the lighter side, right? I mean, this poor guy's... He doesn't have a chance to hit this ball. And like Kevin mentioned, he's looking out towards the pitcher. I've seen the drill done that way where you're supposed to not see the ball until it pops out in front of you and then attack it. And then, of course, the other way would be
swing is you just stop it there. Oh, my God. He's not even in the...
That's the point.
Well,
so in this,
why would you do
example
this?
Of drills for drills, right? There's so much this guy could work on to better his swing, his posture, his stance, his hand placement, all of these things. He could be spending his time, it would be much better served working on some basic postural things that would really help him as a hitter. Yet instead, these poor guys probably saw a drill online or on social media and decided, hey, these guys are doing it. Let's do it. It must help you hit better.
Or had a bad high school coach tell them this was a good idea.
One of the two. But
why would you do that?
Why in the world would you do that?
Yeah.
So
that is a why in the world. Well, wow, that is crazy.
So
wow. Well, hey guys,
did a pretty good job on time management today. Yeah,
that was great.
Right.
We have to have it back. Ryan, you got any last thoughts, buddy?
Well, I just want to let everyone know we intentionally did not take a question of the week because we had so many questions for Jeff, and we thought extended time with Jeff would be more valuable. So just wanted to let everyone know, in case you're waiting for the question, it's not coming this week. Next week.
Oh, all right. I don't think anyone missed it. It was a good segment.
Okay.
Ryan, you got any closing thoughts?
No, I'm gonna.
Man of many words.
Get a little work done and watch a little baseball today, opening day.
You know? All right, good.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be in reverse order, but yes. So
I got half an hour to get some work done before the first pitch.
Happy April Fool's Day, everyone! For anyone out there pulling pranks, pranksters, and excited for opening day as well. So catch real baseball on TV. It just makes it feel a little bit like normalcy. Hopefully they don't show the stands all too often unless it's the Rangers game.
Unless it's in Texas.
That's right.